Jay-Z and Gloria Estefan denying new claims they witnessed a man being abused at one of Sean Diddy Combs' freak-off parties.
You're gonna hear about my party, they're gonna probably be arresting me, people from all walks of life. Jay-Z talking to, you know what I'm saying? It just goes on and on.
A lot of times people say things because they don't want to get themselves in a PR disaster. They can't be, write a check.
I didn't make the allegations. I didn't tell people to say these things. It comes out, I see it in the news like everyone else. But I did feel uncomfortable with the way you would present the idea of going to these projects.
I got something. Because it seems to be like the last year and a half, there's been all this talk about these Hollywood parties.
Let's talk about it.
Amber, what's really going on?
I don't know.
You ain't never been invited to these Hollywood parties?
I've been to probably every one.
The lights inside the Manhattan courtroom didn't flicker. They burned steadily. But everything else felt like it's coming undone. Sean Diddy Combs sat at the defendant's table, but he never looked like the music mogul who once ruled the charts. His skin was pale, his collar open, his hands trembling each time he reached for his water. And the most telling observation, he didn't look at the crowd even once. And that's when it happened. A lawyer mentioned Jay-Z's name, not once but twice. Then a pause, and across the aisle, someone leaned in and whispered the line that everyone heard but no one wanted to repeat out loud. "I'm done covering for you." And what followed next said everything. The question now is, how long can Hollywood as a whole stay quiet before the kings start turning on each other? Because this Diddy trial is shaking more than just tables, it's shaking the very foundations of the industry.
I could not believe what I was hearing.
Oh, God.
As for Jay-Z, his rep tells ET he wasn't in Florida at that time to witness this incident. He was engaged in easily findable public activities that prove he was not at this event, adding, "This is more nonsense that erodes the trust in our justice."
Puff party. I've been to every white party since 2009. I've been to every party, and
You go in the right room, not the wrong room.
I don't think there's rooms, Chad. I'm gonna be honest. Now look, I'm gonna be very, very transparent on the show. If these freak-offs are happening, it's on a completely different day than the actual Puff parties.
Okay.
It's not that day because every time I was there, Puff was there the whole time. You know, he got the Ciroc, he's on the DJ booth. He's the host of the party.
On Club Shay Shay, back in early 2024, Cat Williams leaned forward and told Shannon Sharpe something strange. He said he turned down an invite to one of Diddy's infamous parties. But it wasn't just any rejection. He claimed it came with a price tag, a $50 million offer. The comedian laughed, sipped his drink, and called it a virgin hole contract.
Who gonna turn down 50 million? Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. Just in Hollywood, you never fucking expected. They be having these big ass mansion parties, and the mansion party, the whole mansion is a party, and then it's a separate party in the little rooms. I ain't been famous that goddamn long. I'm excited than a motherfucker to be at the mansion party. You be looking in all the goddamn rooms, and you fuck around and look in the wrong room. Nick, come here. Why you think I speak with such clarity? I'm actually involved in each one of these stories I told you about.
Most people laughed with him. The internet ran with memes. It felt like typical Cat, unfiltered, bizarre, maybe a little exaggerated. But now, inside that courtroom, the joke feels more like a warning, and it's echoing back like a prophecy. When Cat's name came up during cross-examination, something cracked in Diddy. It was subtle, but the ones watching closely saw it. He fidgeted, his shoulders shifted, his attorney leaned over. Diddy whispered something quickly and reached for his water, but his hand shook enough to make the glass rattle against the table. The judge noticed. So did the jury. Even the sketch artist. It wasn't just nerves. This was recognition. Something in what Cat said about those parties.
That alleged freak-off reportedly happened in 2015 at both Gloria and husband Emilio Estefan's Miami mansion and Diddy's.
The rhythm is gonna get you.
That's where a new accuser claims he was sexually assaulted and humiliated by Diddy. And he says Beyonce, Jay-Z, and Gloria all witnessed his abuse, but allegedly did nothing.
Yeah, let's skip over that.
Okay. I don't like it at all.
Gloria and Emilio denying the claims, telling ET there were no parties thrown at that property between 2012 and 2019. The couple says they have documents to back their denial and will provide them in court if necessary.
For years, Jay-Z and Diddy stood side by side. At parties, in boardrooms, on stage, their friendship was untouchable, or so it seemed. But now the whispers are getting louder. One phrase keeps circulating online tied to anonymous court leaks and overheard conversations from the hallway. "I'm done covering for you." No cameras caught it, no microphones picked it up, but enough people inside claimed they heard it. And when it hit the internet, it exploded like a lit match in a dry room. What does covering mean exactly? Some believe it refers to parties ones where phones were taken, NDAs signed, and things happened that never made it past the gates. Others think it's about business. Money moved around, names kept clean. But whatever it means, one thing is clear. Jay-Z is stepping back, and for Diddy, that may be the biggest blow of all. Because when the man who helped build the image walks away, what's left but the truth?
Speaking of, in particular, Netflix docuseries that you've been working on, Diddy Do It.
Right.
You've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character.
Right.
Yet you said you weren't a part of that lifestyle, you weren't going to the parties. So what makes you so absolutely sure that these kinds of allegations that we've seen against him are true?
They burned steadily. But everything
surprised
else
by the
felt like it's
allegations,
coming
as surprised as
undone.
everyone else is. Like,
Sean
I
Diddy
didn't make the
Combs
allegations.
sat
I
at the
didn't tell people to
defendant's
say these
table,
things.
but he
It
never
comes out, I
looked
see
like
it
the
in the
music
news like
mogul who
everyone
once
else. But I
ruled the
did
charts. His skin was
feel
pale, his
uncomfortable
collar open,
the way
his
you represent
hands
the idea
trembling
of
each
going
time he
to these
reached for his
parties.
water.
Once the
And
word
the most
freak-offs
telling
echoed through the
observation,
courtroom like a
he
curse,
didn't look at the
no one
crowd
moved,
even once.
not even the
And
sketch
that's
artist.
when it happened.
All
A
eyes were
lawyer
fixed on the
mentioned
witness
Jay-Z's
stand,
name,
where a
not once
former
but
house
twice.
staffer stood,
Then a pause.
sweating through
and
his
across
shirt
the
collar.
aisle, someone leaned
He
in
was
and
trembling
whispered
as
the
he
line that
described
everyone
them,
heard, but no
not
one
just
wanted
parties,
to repeat out
but
loud.
dark
I'm
rituals,
done
dressed
covering
in
for
velvet
you.
and champagne.
What followed next said
Phones
everything.
were locked in
The
padded
question
cases.
now
Guests were
is,
told
how
to be
long can Hollywood as a
open-minded. The
whole
lights
stay
would
quiet
dim, music
before
would
the
start,
kings
and pills,
start turning on each
sometimes
other?
unlabeled,
Because
were
this Diddy
passed like
trial is
candy.
shaking
Diddy
more than
called
just
it.
the nation.
One woman
Something
remembered Star
cracked in
Island
Diddy.
during Ultra
It was
Week.
subtle, but the ones
House
watching
music
closely
pounding until
saw
7 a.m.
it. He fidgeted,
Bodies
his
half
shoulders
conscious,
shifted.
someone
His
vomiting
attorney
into a
leaned
crystal
over.
vase.
Diddy whispered something
Diddy in the
quickly
middle
and
of
reached
it,
for
calm,
his water,
smiling.
but his hand shook enough
Cameras
to make the
flashed,
glass rattle against
not the press,
table.
but
The
hidden
judge
ones.
noticed.
The courtroom
So
was
did
cold,
the jury.
but it
Even the
suddenly
sketch
felt
artist
hotter than
looked
hell.
up. This
This
wasn't just
wasn't
nerves.
sex.
This was
This was a
recognition.
system,
Something
and
in what
everyone
Kat
knows
said
it.
about those
The lights
parties,
dimmed
about that
slightly.
price,
A flat
hit too
screen
close to
flickered to
home.
life.
The loudest
Then the
man in
hallway
comedy might
video
have just
began.
delivered the quietest
There was
truth
no
in
music.
court.
Just
For
grainy
years,
hotel
Jay-Z
footage
and
from
Diddy stood
2016.
side by side at
A woman
parties,
in a hoodie.
boardrooms, on
Diddy
stage.
right behind her.
Their friendship
He kicks,
was
she
untouchable.
falls.
Or
He
so it
drags
seemed.
her like
But
luggage.
now the
She
whispers are
scrambles.
getting louder.
He throws something.
One phrase keeps
She
circulating
vanishes
online,
around the corner.
tied to anonymous court
Yeah.
leaks and overheard
And then
conversations
that
from the
swayed me away
hallway.
from it.
I'm
Just that
done
alone.
covering for
So
you.
you didn't realize
No cameras
the-
caught it,
As
and
much
microphones
stuff
picked it
has
up.
come like when
But
I
enough
seen
people
today, it was
inside
allegations
claim
of
they
3 men
heard
that
it,
said he
and when it hit the
drugged them
internet, it exploded like a lit match
It's a
in
long
a dry
time, to be
room.
honest with you. Like when
What
people
does
don't
covering
remember
mean exactly?
being violated for
Some
20
believe
years,
it refers to parties.
it makes me
ones
feel
where
a
phones
little
were
hard.
taken,
What are your
NDAs signed,
thoughts on
and
the
things
allegations
happened
against
that never made
Jay-Z?
it past the
That
gates.
was interesting. I didn't.
Others think
when
it's about
I was saying
business.
things,
Money moved around,
not knowing
names
exactly
kept
what I was
clean.
saying, but I was
But
going.
whatever it means, one
like
thing
with
is
Jay,
clear:
he's mad
Jay-Z
quiet.
is stepping back.
Like while the Puffy
And for
thing's going
Diddy,
on, but it's obvious
that may
now
be the
that
biggest blow of all.
his team
Because
was
when the
being
man
made
who
aware
helped
that he
build the
was in
image
those
walks
allegations
away,
also.
what's
You
left
know, so
but the truth?
I hope it works out because with his family, the things that go
Once
on
the word
internally,
freak-offs echoed through the
those
courtroom
accusations
like a
are crazy.
No one
Back
moved.
in the courtroom,
Not even the
jaws
sketch
dropped.
artist.
No one had
All
to
eyes
ask
were
who
fixed
she
on the
was.
witness
It
stand,
was Cassie.
where a former
Diddy
house staffer
didn't
stood,
blink,
sweating through
didn't
his
twitch,
shirt collar.
just stared
He was
at the
trembling as he
screen,
described
face
them.
pale.
Not just
His
parties,
fingers tapped
but
the table,
dark
then
rituals
stopped.
dressed in velvet
His lawyer
and champagne.
leaned in. He
Phones
didn't
were locked
respond.
in padded cases.
CNN leaked the
Guests
tape
were
hours
told to
later,
be
but for those in the
open-minded.
room, the damage
lights
was already
were dim,
done.
Music
The myth
would
of the
start,
mogul had
and
cracked
pills,
right in front of them.
sometimes
This wasn't
unlabeled,
old
were
drama.
passed like
This was
candy.
proof, and
Diddy
it played
called it
out
freedom.
in real time.
But inside those rooms,
got my mother.
footage
But that
from
wasn't
2016,
even the most
a woman
shocking
in a hoodie,
aspect of the day.
Diddy right
It
behind find
was
her.
what happened
He
to
kicks,
one woman,
she falls,
her
he
name
drags her like
undisclosed
luggage,
for
she
security
scrambles.
reasons.
He throws
On
something,
the day she was
she
supposed
vanishes
to
around the
testify,
corner. Back
Victim
in the courtroom,
3.
jaws dropped.
That's what they called her.
No one had to ask
No
who
name,
she was.
just a
it
number.
was Cassie.
The
Diddy
court
didn't
waited.
blink. Didn't
Her chair
twitch,
stayed
just
empty.
stared at the screen,
Whispers
face pale,
rippled through the
his
room.
fingers
The
tapped the
prosecutor
table,
stood.
then stopped.
We've
His
lost
lawyer
contact,
leaned in.
she
He
said,
didn't
her voice
respond.
tight.
CNN leaked the tape
A lot of
hours
times
later,
people say
but for those in the
things
room,
because they
the
don't
damage
wanna,
was already done. The myth
get
of the
themselves
mogul had
in
cracked right in
a
front
PR
of them.
disaster.
This
They
wasn't
can't
old
be,
drama. This was proof,
write a
and it
check.
played out in
The
real
new
time.
claims come months after a woman dropped a lawsuit against Jay-Z, alleging
Victim 3.
he raped her
That's what
15
they
years
called her.
ago.
No name,
The rap
just
mogul
a
has
number.
denied her
The court
claims
waited.
and is now
Her chair
suing
stayed
her
empty.
for
Whispers
defamation.
rippled through the room.
She's
The
scared,
prosecutor
paid
stood.
off, hiding.
We've lost contact,
No one
she
knew
said,
for sure.
her voice tight.
But what people
The judge
did
frowned.
know,
The
that she
defense
was
perked
real,
up, scenting
that
weakness.
she had told them
But
things
everyone
that
else knew
matched
what that
every
silence
other
meant.
witness, lingered like smoke. A missing puzzle piece, just out of reach. Diddy's team tried to downplay it, but the timing was too strange, too
Was she
sharp.
scared?
And
Paid
the
off
gallery
hiding.
just stared at the empty seat.
No one knew for sure,
wondering
but what
if
people
she'd
did
ever
know
make
that
it
she
back.
was real, that she
But
had
guess
told
what?
them things that matched every other
Just when the
witness.
jury thought
lingered
that
like
would be
smoke,
all the
a
shock
missing
for the
puzzle
day,
piece just out of reach.
something else
Diddy's team
began
tried to
festering from
downplay it, but the
underneath.
timing was too strange,
Charles
too
here.
sharp, and the
Diddy
gallery just
defense,
stared at the empty seat,
is
wondering
raising an
if she'd ever make it
interesting
back.
series
But guess what?
of
Just when the
points
jury thought
that
that would be all the
all
shock for the day,
seem to
something else
go
began festering
to
from
try,
underneath.
I don't want to even use the word justify, but to explain some of the brutality Cassie suffered at Diddy's hands. And one of those
During
possibilities
jury
for an
prep, a
explanation,
list leaked, and it
is
wasn't just random
bipolar
names.
disorder,
Kanye
because
West,
Diddy's
Usher,
own
Justin
defense
Bieber,
attorney
Kid Cudi,
raised
even
this
Michael B.
while
Jordan.
questioning
Not as
Cassie this
suspects,
morning.
but his
During
name's
jury
tied to
prep,
Diddy's
a list
parties,
leaked,
his events,
and it wasn't
his
just
silence.
random names.
Twitter exploded.
Kanye
One
West,
post read,
Usher,
"How many photos do we
Justin
need
Bieber,
before someone admits
Kid
the guest
Cudi,
list wasn't
even
clean?"
Michael B. Jordan, not
Jay-Z's
his
name was there
suspects,
too.
but his name's
Beyonce's,
tied to Diddy's
conspiracy.
parties, his events,
Maybe.
his silence.
But here's what shook people.
Twitter
So many
exploded.
of these stars were there.
One post
in
read,
photos, in
"How many
videos,
photos
smiling
do
at
we
the same
need
couches
before
now
someone
tied to those
admits
tunnel
the
stories.
guest list
Nobody's
wasn't
saying they're
clean?"
guilty, but nobody's saying a word
Jay-Z's name was
at
there
all.
too.
And sometimes
Beyonce's,
silence sounds like agreement.
Conspiracy?
You zoom
Maybe.
out, and it starts to look less
But here's
like a
what shook
coincidence
people. So
and
many
more
of
like
these
a web.
stars were
and
there
Diddy,
in
he's
photo,
the spider in the middle of it.
in
You wouldn't
video,
recognize
smiling
him
at
now.
the same couches now tied to those tunnel stories. Nobody's saying they're guilty.
The man once
You
wrapped
zoom
in
out,
white
and
suits
it
and
starts to
champagne
look
bubbles
less like
is
a
sitting in Brooklyn's
coincidence and
MDC
more like a
wearing
web.
government gray and
Diddy,
asking for toilet
he's
breaks.
the spider
Diddy
in the
doesn't
middle
run the
of
room anymore.
You
Guards
wouldn't recognize
do.
him
Time
now.
does.
This
He's not
morning.
calling the shots. He's
and
waiting for them. And
infers
even here, with
that
walls all
there has
around
been
him,
a
he's allegedly
diagnosis,
breaking
though
rules.
that's never
Prosecutors say
firmly-
he's using
that's
other
never
inmates'
affirmed,
IDs to
by
call
anything
people he's
Cassie
not supposed
says
to.
or
Three-way
the
calls,
attorney. So
hidden
it's weird because
contacts,
Diddy's not gonna
desperate
take the
moves.
stand, so then
The
the
same
question
man
is,
who once
how are they
controlled
gonna
every
get that
entrance
out
and
there?
exit in his
Right, that's
mansion,
kind of interesting
now
in
caught
itself.
sneaking
So
through prison
Anna
phone lines like a
Esteval
scared
was
kid trying to
questioning
hide the
Cassie
smell of smoke
about
after a fire.
her
The
meetings
fall
with
isn't
US
slow.
attorney's
It's
office.
free fall.
And makes a reference, says, didn't you tell them that you thought it might have been his bipolar disorder? She's talking about the 2018, they went
1
out
year
to
ago,
dinner.
he was still
Remember,
being
they were
toasted in
broken up already.
boardrooms.
The man
Now,
once wrapped
he's
in
being
white
warned by a
suits and
CO for
champagne
talking too
bubbles
long. If
is
you ever
sitting in
wondered what
Brooklyn's
happens when a king
MDC,
loses his castle,
wearing government
this is
gray
it.
and asking for
Dear
toilet
viewers,
breaks.
let's not forget how this all
Diddy
started.
doesn't run
not
the
with
room
a raid,
anymore.
Not with an expose.
Guards do.
Not even with a podcast.
Time does.
It started with a woman.
He's not calling
Cassie
the
Ventura.
shots. He's
a
waiting
woman who
for
was
them.
once passed around
And
as an
even here,
accessory.
with walls
a name
all
people
around
whispered,
him, he's
but never
allegedly breaking
protected.
rules.
A girl who smiled
Prosecutors
on red
say
carpets
he's
while
using
hiding
other
bruises
inmates'
under
IDs
diamonds.
to call people he's not supposed to. Three-way calls.
Cassie
Hidden
Ventura's lawsuit
contacts,
cracked the ceiling, and
desperate
inside
moves.
it,
The
a
same
decade
man
of
who once
silence.
controlled every
Pills,
entrance and exit in his
control,
mansion,
cameras,
now caught sneaking
pain
through
disguised
prison
as
phone
luxury.
lines like a
And the worst
scared
part?
kid trying to hide the
Nobody
smell
seems
of smoke after a
surprised.
fire.
Within
The
weeks of her
fall
story,
isn't slow,
63
free
more
fall.
surfaced.
To instead
Some
being
came with
the architect
names, some
of
just
those
with
free falls.
tears. But every one of them carried the same shape, power wrapped around the throat of someone weaker. Diddy said she was bitter, that she was looking for attention, but the world had already started listening. Cassie didn't just speak for herself. She opened a door that others were too scared to knock on. Now the hallways behind that door are filled with footsteps, and the kingdom he built is crumbling into questions. Who knew? How long and how many never made it out of that tunnel?
And trust me when I say they are not safe for work. You almost worry about your broadcast license, honestly, with some of this stuff. So here we go, get the kids out of the room.
1 year ago, he was still being toasted in boardrooms. Now, He's being warned by a CO for talking too long. If you ever wondered what happens when a king loses his castle, this is it. Dear viewers, let's not forget how this all started. Not with a raid, not with an expose, not even with a podcast. It started with a woman, Cassie Ventura, a woman who was once passed around as an accessory, a name people whispered but never protected, a girl who smiled on red carpets while hiding bruises under diamonds.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010, and I was in the hotel room when Puff came in, and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out.
Cassie Ventura's lawsuit cracked the ceiling, and inside it, a decade of silence. Pills, control, cameras, pain disguised as luxury, and the worst part, nobody seemed surprised. Within weeks of her story, 63 more surfaced. Some came with names, some just with tears. But every one of them carried the same shape. Power wrapped around the throat of someone weaker. Diddy said she was bitter, that she was looking for attention. But the world had already started listening. Cassie didn't just speak for herself. She opened a door that others were too scared to knock on. Now the hallways behind that door are filled with footsteps, and the kingdom he built is crumbling into questions. Who knew? How long? And how many never made it out of that tunnel?